It's a Thursday. It is the 4th day of August, 2022. This Day Weather Podcast brought to you by Cowboy State Daily. Cowboy State Daily has more original Wyoming news content than any other news organization in the state. Sign up for their daily newsletter. As we take a look at the end of the week here, we're going to heat up. Some of that heat that moved to our west over the last week is migrating back to the east. The good news, though, is it's 2 days of heat. And I tell you, folks, this cool front this weekend is going to bring a rather big shift in temperatures to especially the northern Rockies, parts of the northern plains and central Rockies this weekend. In fact, temperatures are going to be in the 90s and lower 100s in some areas today and tomorrow. Over the weekend, some of those same areas may only be in the 70s to the lower 80s. But we do have to deal with the heat today and tomorrow with lots of 90s, some lower 100s out on the plains. And we're looking at not much in the way of thunderstorm activity today. A little bit of activity, but the thunderstorms kind of take a break today before another monsoon surge this weekend and this cold front work together to bring much cooler temperatures this weekend. You're really going to notice this Sunday in many areas, but many areas also Friday night and Saturday will feel that change in the weather. As we mentioned yesterday, we are concerned about flash flood potential for the burn scars in the region. This is going to be especially true in Colorado and the burn scars in southern Wyoming, but any burn scars into Utah and back into the desert southwest as well. But this is a situation where we have concentrated subtropical moisture over an area for a couple of days. You know, one thing that we have seen this summer, and this is actually part of the flooding that hit Kentucky, is that this flow of subtropical air out of Mexico into the lower United States, lower 48 states, when you have a situation where you concentrate that moisture in a small area with moisture combining with a front, which is what's going to happen this weekend, you just have to raise your awareness. So folks who'll be out camping this weekend, Friday and Saturday in particular, and Sunday into Colorado, we need to watch out for that. Also, we're going to do a little bit of a long-range sneak peek into early September. There's something I want to show you, something I'm just going to kind of tease you about, something that in the next couple of weeks we're going to watch and see whether or not it comes to fruition. We'll talk about that at the end of the podcast. High pressure right over the Oklahoma, Texas Panhandle areas this morning. So very warm temperatures. This will bring the heat, but you can see lots of lows there with low up into Alberta, another low up into areas just west of Alaska. And we're going to talk about this guy here, this high pressure ridge kind of maintaining itself, and this will help keep producing fronts in the coming weeks. But it's going to be a hot day across the region. Last night and early this morning, big thunderstorm complexes down in Arizona and New Mexico. So you can see from the satellite imagery, that's a very large area of thunderstorms across the southwestern United States. This is a hint of what's coming as this moisture is going to lift north and eastward later on. And you can see it from the radar this morning across Arizona and New Mexico. And if you focus in, those little green circles you see there are flash flood warnings in Arizona. Lots of rain in the Phoenix, Tucson areas last night, getting up to Flagstaff, and even into the deserts of California, getting into the heavier thunderstorm activity as that monsoon gets pushed west-northwestward into those areas. And you can really see it here on the satellite imagery of that moisture coming on through. Now, this is for Friday afternoon. This is for tomorrow. We still have the high, which will keep the heat, but the front is getting closer right here, coming in the Pacific Northwest and into the northern Rockies. As this front presses south and brings cooler air into the region, we continue to have a convergence of that subtropical moisture coming up against to meet the front. And this is where you concentrate things, like I showed you yesterday with the two arrows, the blue, the cold front, the green, the monsoonal moisture. And as we get into Sunday afternoon, the frontal system is through right here, and we'll be bringing in a much cooler air mass into the central and northern areas of the United States. The heat, what we'll do now is show you how the temperature changes. So these are the temperatures relative to the 30-year averages today. So you can see how warm it's going to be along the front range of the Rockies from Montana into Colorado, then into the Dakotas, Nebraska, Kansas, down into Texas. On either side of that, temperatures are a little bit cooler than average. But you can see the blue and the purple and the green up there in British Columbia and Alberta and Saskatchewan. as we go forward, this is what temperatures do on Saturday. Now, this is by 6 p.m. Saturday. Look at that large area of purple. You're talking 25 to 30 degree temperatures below the seasonal normals for the 6 p.m. hour on Sunday. Look across Montana and the western Dakotas there, and then stretching back all the way into that cooler air back into Las Vegas. Again, these are deviations from the 30-year averages. When you see deviations that are in that purple range, that's a pretty significant weather event. So that cold front is packing, I think, more of a punch than folks are giving it credit for. And then as you get into Sunday, that cold front pushes even further south into the region. So I know no one's going to like the heat the next couple of days, but we do a 180 this weekend in this region. Now, don't worry, the heat comes back. This is by next Thursday. Very warm air builds right back into the northern Rockies, well up into the Canada. But look at this. Look at this coolness along the southern tier of the United States. Dallas, maybe even Houston. Woohoo! You finally get to cool off a little bit, cooler off into Big Bend country as well as that cool front comes on south. And so we're going to see the temperatures really kind of bounce around a little bit. Now let's talk about precipitation chances. This is for this afternoon. Notice the drier air that's come into eastern Wyoming here. The air not as moist, but look at the deeper moisture that we saw in the satellite imagery right here. Back over California, back into the Great Basin, pushing now into western Wyoming. So this is this afternoon. This is for Friday afternoon. So notice an advancement of the deeper blue getting into western and northern and central Wyoming. We're keeping our fingers crossed that the western counties of Wyoming, eastern Idaho, northern Utah, northern parts and central parts and southwestern Wyoming can get some badly needed rain Friday and Saturday. I think there's a good chance of that. So this is Friday, and this is the precipitable water amounts for Friday afternoon. And I'm going to lead into where we're concerned about flash flooding. We've shown you this map a couple of times before, but you see all those numbers there? That shows the amount of water that could come out of a shower or a thunderstorm. It by no means is saying how much will fall. By no means does it say that's the limit. But what we do is we take a look at this metric. And anytime we see anything that's 0.9 or an inch or more of water, precipitable water, in the atmosphere, this is where you can get very heavy rain producing thunderstorms. And look at these precipitable waters. Look at into central California, southwest California, Arizona here. This is a lot of water. Now notice a lot of water vapor out here as well, but Wyoming is all 0.9 or higher. So if you're underneath one of these showers or thunderstorms tomorrow afternoon and evening, there should be a high probability of some good measurable rain with it. This is the water vapor as we get on into Saturday afternoon, so you can still see the blue concentrated in a narrow area here between that cold front up here and the drier air and the subtropical moisture pushing in. So we're concentrating it right here and also right here as well. Precipitable water for Saturday afternoon. The air starts to get drier out here, but notice high water content still is being shown in many areas right here. So 2 days in a row of higher water content, that's going to lead to a more active shower and thunderstorm pattern. And you can see good rains, heavy rains could fall into these areas right here and also right here. And we're hoping into western Nebraska and in the Dakotas as well that need the moisture, as well as parts of Colorado. As we go out further, this is the tease I wanted to give you for a long-range forecast or a sneak peek into September. What I'm showing you is a forecast that goes all the way out to the 19th of August. And there's a feature that we always talk about during the cold season. When we start to see high pressure building in the eastern Pacific, near the Gulf of Alaska, we like to say when there's a ridge there, we go into the fridge. It's basically meaning when high pressure is placed, a large area of high pressure is placed there, it turns the jet stream southward into North America and brings cooler weather. And what we have to watch as we get on into the middle to the end of August and peeking ahead into September is that if this high pressure maintains itself and this pattern kind of sticks around, as we get into the first week of September, seen this before, you can have some pretty darn strong cold fronts in early September get pushed in. This is a strong cold front for the 19th and 20th of August. Now, it's a model. Models are tools. Models are not reality. This is just a tool. This is just a glimpse of sort of how the pattern might be evolving. Another thing to point out, this is a pattern that you're seeing right here that in mid and late August and early September is a classic setup to where we start to see hurricane activity in these areas here. Hurricanes like to be drawn to areas of low pressure, and they tend to want to go to this. So this is when, right at the end of August, early September, we could have a really active pattern. We could see things get changed up in Western North America, and we could see the tropics really heat up. So I'm talking about something that's 3 or 4 weeks away, but something fun to keep track of as we go forward. Have yourself a great day. We'll see you on Friday.